Hello there. I have some dark and moody DIYs for Halloween that I can't wait to share with you. I'm Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots, and let's jump into our craft room. Now, first DIY is a really big one. We're going to take one of these craft pumpkins. I got this at Michael's many moons ago. This is one of those craft pumpkins, so it's hollow on the inside. I did not pay $19.99 for it. I can give you that guarantee. This was probably an after-season clearance from many moons ago. Craft pumpkins are all over, so just get yourself a big punky, okay? I'm going to paint this pretty girl black. We're going to make this nice. It's just a chalk paint. Grab yourself a chalk paint. I like to use DIY paints. This is just an average paint. This is probably folk art, because I didn't want to have to seal it. So we're just going to paint this full thing black. And as exciting as it is, we're going to move on. So paint the whole thing black. Now, this cute, gorgeous little hat came from craftoutlet.com. Probably 8 years ago. It's been some time. This is not a toy. Apparently I paid $7.99 for it because I felt like it's worth it. Now this thing is good. It's sturdy. It's got some good meat to it. We're going to take it apart, paint it, and make it look completely different. Because back in the day, that long ago, I thought glitter was cool, and there's glitter underneath that fabric, and my eye's already twitching. But we're going to take some gray chalk paint. Pick some colors that you would like to go with. I chose to go dark and moody because I wanted this to have its own theme. I wanted everything to be dreary and kind of just almost monochromatic. Almost. We added a very, I don't want to say apothecary or gothic. I don't really know what to call it. I just like this color palette. So there's fabric on this. It's like a sheer kind of spiderwebby fabric, and it soaked up the paint. So be prepared. Should you, I don't think anyone could duplicate this. I would love to see if you guys have your own take on this. So if you have witches' hats, you can either make one or find one. And then, you could easily make one of these like out of brown paper bags or something, and then some foil. It'd be really cute. Cover it in fabric, which you could have covered this in fabric now that I think about it. But this thing soaked up so much paint, you guys, as you can see here. It's going through that fabric into, I believe there's styrofoam, and I know there's styrofoam in the middle because you're going to see me try to gut the middle of it in about a minute. But this thing took about 2 days to dry because I soaked her up. I wanted it to be very old and weathered vibe. We're taking all of the cutesy, all of the glitter, all of the little, holiday stuff out of it, and we're making this more of almost a decorative piece. I know a lot of you have mentioned to me before that this is your style. This is what you do year round. You're a fan of skulls, or you have just this kind of dark, and I call it dark and moody. It's the best thing I can think of. It's just very, it's just different, and it's pretty, and it's got a pumpkin, so I'm a fan of it. I also like that you can still see the spider web detail on the fabric underneath it, but now this thing is solid. Now you do see some sparkles, and I try to ignore those because they make my eye twitch. But what I want to do is I'm going to layer them together, but we're going to put some creepy cloth in between. This I picked up at Dollar Tree last year. I do know that they have it again this year because I did just go to Dollar Tree yesterday. That's right. I left the house in the 100 billion degree weather where I live, and I went to Dollar Tree. But that's because, you guys, my Dollar Tree moved into a bigger location, and it now has plus stuff. So you're about to see a monster. A monster's been born, guys, because now, on the West Coast, we're the last ones to get all that plus stuff, man. If you've been on the East Coast, if you had plus stuff for a while, you feel lucky. But now I've joined the group, so I'm gonna make so much stuff. As I talk through all this, we're gonna basically take this dark wax. I get my DIY products from Debbie. It's Debbie's DIY dark wax. I get all my products from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. It's a great website. Take a peek at it. There's a link and a code in my description below. But I'm going to take the dark wax, and I am going to kind of weather down, distress down this creepy cloth. It's a little bit too bright for me. I need this to look, again, dark and dreary and weathered and worn and forgotten, but in a beautiful way. We only forgotten temporarily to be rediscovered in a new light. That's the I don't know if it found itself. Yeah, I'm putting the wax on the hat, but then I stop. I will continue that later because I need to hot glue to this hat, and I wasn't knowing what I was thinking, why I was waxing the hat so soon, because we are going to need to hot glue to it. So now we're going to attach the two. I'm going to leave the creepy cloth on top of the pumpkin there, just kind of haphazardly just drape that around there. And now I need to make a hole in the bottom of this hat. This proved to be a little difficult. So you're going to see me just make lots of cuts meaning I'm making cuts in the bottom of the hat, and I'm also making cuts here and clips here in the video footage, because this was fun. You see me using different tools. So I had wire cutters. I started with a stylus, then wire cutters, then my blade, then a different blade, then now this is a box cutter. And now here I'm seeing, I saw styrofoam, so I was like, let me jam it on here. I was like, go to your home. Come on, this is me using brute force right here. I am just, if it had a neck, I'd be strangling it. You know what I'm saying? Then I realized, Whitney, that's solid styrofoam in there. It's not going to go in. You need to dig it out. So I got, at some point you're going to see me, there you go, right there, the box cutter in there, and then you'll see a lot more of the little snowflakes of its styrofoam guts are finally falling out. But I won. See, domino. Just had to dig in there enough to where it's, you know, if you ever see the underside of it, you would see how hideous it was, and it put up a good fight, but I won. Now, before I glue the hat to the top of our pumpkin, I want to make it up. I want to dress her up a little bit. Now, because I'm coming to you from, you know, the future. This doesn't show very much. About maybe 2 inches of it shows in the finished project. So at that time I made it, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how crazy. I mean, I should have known how crazy I'd go with florals, because it's kind of what I do. And I know myself. I know I can't just stop and not put things on here. But look how pretty this trim is. My best buddy, who lives on the East Coast in Maryland, she lives by a ribbon factory, guys. A ribbon factory. A factory that like makes ribbon, and it just blows my mind. I live in the desert in Las Vegas, and we do not have cool stuff like that here. So she went there, and she took me along, and we went ribbon shopping, and I was just the happiest little craft lady you could believe. And she sent me all this stuff. So great. So I got a lot of good ribbon spools, a lot of clearanced out stuff. I'm talking about like 50-yard rolls for $5, and this whole thing right here of this trim, it's got like a metal detail in the middle of it. It's so pretty. I got that whole thing for $6. And I believe, I think we even split it. It might have been 2 of these for $6. I can't remember. But I took one, and then she picked something else. But yes, my buddy, she's the one that makes the bats. If you've seen my last video with the batlings in it, that's my buddy that makes the bats. Take a peek at her Etsy shop if you want some bats, because again, bats are a year-round decoration. But I got this trim from all the way from the East Coast, all the way to the West Coast. That's right. The internet is a wonderful place. I would have never known her. So I took this and I just wrapped it around the whole hat. Again, at the end of the day, when we're done with this beautiful girl, you're only going to see about 1.5 inches of it. So do with that what you want. Maybe wait till the end and just kind of tuck it around what's left over. Should you duplicate this in any sort of way, or with any type of, you know, purpose like I am, who knows? I mean, I'm kind of a chaotic crafter in general. Like half the time I don't know what I'm doing until I get it done. And then you get that warm, squishy craft feeling in your heart, and you can't help it. Like, yes, this is exactly what I want, covering up half of the stuff I do. But again, not a bad thing, because layers create depth, create interest in your project, and you can also sometimes tell the journey you took by how things are layered in your projects. And that's me being very deep about our crafts. Anyways, so I attached some styrofoam on to the top of the hat after I put the trim on, and I'm going to put the hat on our punky now. Now, I want the hat to sit crooked. I wanted it to get I wanted a lopsided feel, because the top of the hat's kind of quirky and, you know, twisted, kind of like a Tim Burton, like, you know, Harry Potter type of feel. I wanted to keep it kind of quirky, but also still kind of, you know, I didn't want to do cutesy. I didn't want to do childish, but I wanted it to be just different. You know, I just wanted her to be different. So I put the glue on one side and I'm holding it down, but then I decided to also just staple her right down into the pumpkin. So it's almost like I'm stapling right into the top of your head. And that wasn't enough, so let's put some more staples in right here. 2 more. You could do it. Yeah, right. There you go. Not coming out now, right? So holding it till the glue solidifies. These are big words. Apparently it's Big Words Wednesday. So I'm going to take some Spanish moss, and we're going to use this to tuck in on our diagonal. At one point, I will show you that the hat is tilted to one side. That's why there's staples. It's actually touching the pumpkin on that side, and on the opposite side where all of our styrofoam is, it comes up at a diagonal, so it has a good space in it. You're going to see me tuck in right here on this space. You're going to see me tuck in that Spanish moss for a filler. And you see how much of a gap is right there? And as I watch this back, there were many steps that I could have stopped at, and this piece would have been equally gorgeous. I love how it finishes out. I love, you know, even when I like to say I go overboard, but when I'm done, I love everything. You know, to the point where Maybe that's just my jam. And if it's not your jam, then feel free to stop when you reach your jam. But for my jam, apparently, I just like to keep adding stuff in. But you get the dark and moody here with just this Spanish moss. Now, you could easily have just not put on the styrofoam and just add some Spanish moss, and you're done. Or maybe add just some Spanish moss and one flower. You know, it could go very, very simple. I go over the top. I am extra, just like that guacamole that you order. I have a shirt that says that I'm extra like the guacamole. I'm worth it. So I'm just tucking more Spanish moss around the top. Now, I did not secure the Spanish moss onto our styrofoam because we are going to do that when we put in our floral picks. They'll have glue on them. And now here I'm going to finish the hat out with the rest of the dark wax. Important to remember that brush because we're going to use the leftover dark wax in those bristles on our next project or on our last project. But basically, look at this. This is our finished product. So we've got a good amount of moss on one side, kind of tucked in. We got a little bit of creepy cloth over the black punky in the hat. It's looking pretty good. So I did not go with traditional Halloween florals because basically you just buy everything in black. It becomes too monochromatic and it gets lost. I felt I needed to go with maybe a dustier look. So I chose this is a dusty eucalyptus that I got from Amazon. Now here are some lamb's ear, also from Amazon. And my Amazon store, I have a link to that in my description and in the pinned comment below. And I'm piecing these things apart. I took the eucalyptus and just tucked those girls in right, full as they were. I did not cut them apart. The lamb's ear here, I am going to cut this into many little pieces and then just tuck those little accents throughout the 3 chunks. Now here is a Halloween type bush. This is basically like I want to say it's a eucalyptus or some sort of grass plant, but it is a Halloween because it's black. It's a black plastic artificial bush. I cut that into pieces, many, many pieces from those stems, and I tucked it into the arrangement. Again, we are going for dark and moody Halloween, skulls and bones and all that good stuff. So I am just tucking it in for some, I don't really know, guys. Half the time I'm trying to come up with excuses, but I did it because I wanted to. I mean, just like, what? And we did this because, I wanted to. It's like the same thing. It was like, and you're making this recipe. There's a cooking show. Why? Because we're hungry and we're going to eat it. So now I just added all those little picks in. That's an Amazon thing. Now this guy here, you can see underneath there that there's a little daisy bush. These are old Halloween florals that I got from Dollar Tree probably a couple years ago. Now they come out with stuff every year. This is the stuff that had like a plastic spider in it. They're just black daisies, and I'm using them and I'm tucking them into the Spanish moss that I have between the hat and the pumpkin. So kind of on that little lopsided diagonal part where the hat's kind of coming up, that's being tucked. These are being tucked into the underneath side of the hat, and I'll show you in a second here just what it looks like once we're finished after we tucked all these little girls in. Ta-da! Hold on, show you in here. So there's our front. Now I've already tucked in a lot of these. There were some blue daisies here that I skipped over because I was jibber jabbering. Those are from Dollar Tree, and you can see the little black daisy, the bigger black daisies at the bottom. And then yet I thought I was done, but we're going to take this lovely little stem. I got this stem from Hobby Lobby a few years ago, and I liked it because of the colors of the grasses on it. Now we are using pretty much the same flowers in the next project as well. And I use a little bit more of this. But for this one, I'm just going to use my pick machine because once you cut these guys off here, they are not wired. They're wired on the larger bushes or the larger branches that come off of the stem. But when you remove the individual leaves here, they are not wired, and you cannot poke them into the styrofoam on their own. So you saw me using a pick machine. It's like a floral arrangement type machine. I've had this. This was my Christmas present for many moons. If you have been with me for some time, you will know when I got this as a present because I was a very, very happy crafty girl. Again, that was a Hobby Lobby 40% off coupon when those things still existed. That was a good purchase, but otherwise you would basically need to get some craft tape or floral tape and then wrap this around another pick or another piece of wood, a skewer of something, and you're going to create your own floral pick. But this pick machine puts a nice metal sharp edge on it. Be careful because you can cut yourself. I'm going to show you here. I was done putting in those extra grasses because I like that. You see how that top of the screen there, that green is almost like an army green or an olive green, almost like a dead colored green, but I wanted to add a little bit more eucalyptus to the front. So I cut 3 of these pieces off of one of the little bundles, and we're going to turn it into a pick. So be very careful because this can pinch you. I did get my fingernail stuck in it just a little bit. Had to back it back out because my acrylic fingernail got stuck in it. But then you turn these things. See, nice little metal shiv. I'm sorry. Turns it into a pick. Not threatening at all. Nothing you'd get caught in prison with or anything. So yeah, be careful because you can cut yourself, and I have. Trust me. And I know you guys will, because you're going to see me burn myself pretty badly later on in this video too. Now, after I tucked that in, I was happy with the florals, and we're going to move on to a bow. Now, this is the perfect ribbon. I forgot I had. I dug this out of the back of my ribbon hoard, and this is also craftoutlet.com. Again, these things, you guys, I'm pretty sure are not available anymore because I've bought them so long ago. But should you need, you can always try to take a peek and see if they have something like that on their website now. But again, it's been many moons. Now, I grabbed another piece of creepy cloth out of the bag, cut it up, distressed it with the wax. Thought I was going to put it in the bow somehow, but every way I moved it, every which way I tried to organize it or flip it or turn it or bundle it in, it just didn't look right. I mean, I wonder if I left it in, hopefully. I'll show you. I tried to make like a little ribbon awareness bow, like a bundled bow in the middle, and it just wasn't turning out. So I ended up just taking our extra little piece here and just tucking that underneath the hat to, you know, further decorate the punky and put some layers on some of that creepy stuff hanging around the outside. Gives it that nice little, I guess you'd say like cobwebs and mummies kind of look. Again, I don't really see this that much of Halloween. I see this more as just kind of like a dark, I don't want to use the word gothic, but it's just a very pretty, it's very different from Farmhouse, I could tell you that. So it still makes me happy. Now I'm showing you here this little arrow. This is my first attempt at a bow. I did not like it once I was done with it. That bow that I just pointed to, the little white one on the table, or the white arrow to the black bow on the table, was just bundling it on top of itself and then wrapping something around the middle and then trying to pull those loops apart. I hated it, so I scrapped it. What I'm doing here is I'm just doing a very big loopy bow. So I did 4 loops and then leaving 2 tails, secured it around the middle, put with some wire. And then now I'm just going to glue this pretty girl right into the center of our original bow here. And that's going to make me so happy. And I have don't forget, I dovetailed the larger ribbon. It's the 1.5 inch ribbon I dovetailed. And on smaller ribbons, I usually do diagonals. I just do a diagonal cut. Make sure the diagonals go the opposite ways. And then here I had an extra little Dollar Tree daisy on the counter or the floor, or who knows where I found it. As I'm notorious for taking remnants and pieces and stuff and garbage and trying to what else can I glue in here? Now, I forgot to show, these are the spiders that came off of the hat originally. One was purple and one was orange, and they were glittery and everything. Well, I painted those during the time that I was painting the hat and the pumpkin. So I'm only going to put the gray one back on here. And here I was showing you to ask you, for permission. What do you guys think? And they're like, well, they can't answer me. They won't be able to answer me, so what am I doing? Just put it on there. Worst case scenario, if you hate it, you could always take it off because it's only secured to the middle of this little Dollar Tree daisy. It's just glued in by its own little, it has a little piece of plastic in the back of it that it was attached to, I believe, a string. This is the one that hung from the top of the tree, or top of the hat. Took a little bit of that leftover wax on my bristles, put it over the spider. It doesn't make that big of an impact. I thought it was going to be darker, but that's fine with it the way it is. And you'll see here right under that bow, I tucked in some Spanish moss. That was my last effort to cover up those staples that I was trying to cover up with the bow, and apparently I put the bow a little bit to the left. So I ended up having to tuck just a little Spanish moss right there underneath that bow, and then you can't see any of the staples. And then the rest of her is finished. It did take me longer than, of course, every once in a while I see a little orange sparkle, and it makes my eye twitch because I wanted all of that to be gone. But you guys, I put so much paint on that hat. It's at least 2 pounds heavier than it was when we started. But look how pretty it is. And at least see what I mean by that little bit of that black edging. It only shows a little bit. So let me know. Tell me your thoughts as I'm talking too long. Now, our second project here, I have this basket. It's been in my stash, again, for a very long time. And it's already black in the perfect color, so there is no painting required, no nothing. And then I'm taking a block of styrofoam. Got this at the Dollar Tree. Very good place. Still my first choice of getting this type of styrofoam, just because styrofoam in general, for some reason where I live, is ridiculously expensive. So I like to buy it at the Dollar Tree. Then I decided to take the handles off of our little basket here. I figured I wanted the basket to be open. I didn't want to be restricted in any one direction because of what I planned on doing by putting a sign in the middle of it. I didn't want to then force the flowers to be kind of stuck or pressed into each other. So I took the handles off with my wire cutters, sanded them, the little rough edges down with a finger sander. And then I just used a Sharpie to cover up the little cut pieces because they were brighter than the black dyed pieces. Now, that doesn't matter because everything overflows and it's gorgeous, so it doesn't really. But now we're going to secure the styrofoam in. All I did was cut off the edges. It's all it needed in order to fit into the circle. And I'm putting a decent amount of glue here, and it's not I'm not going through the holes, but some of the glue does seep out at the bottom here, and I'm just trying to get rid of the glue strings. And then we're going to just take a little bundle of Spanish moss and tuck that in. Again, we're not going to glue the Spanish moss because we are going to glue our florals in, and then that will further secure the Spanish moss into our project. It won't come out. Now this sign here, very, very cute sign. I got this at Walmart very long time ago, probably around the same time, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. It's been quite some time since I've ever even Halloween shopped. You know, I don't decorate for Halloween, and you know, my heart lies with punkies. So I haven't gotten those decorations down, but I did buy this at Walmart. The $2.84, I think it was. That was a ridiculously good price, so I bought it. Now, I'm going to take this large craft stick. Basically, it's a popsicle stick, but it's very big, so it could be tongue depressor. But it says that they're jumbo craft sticks, and I'm going to cut it down into a garden stake. The pointy part is what I was going for, and I ended up having to cut a hole in the styrofoam, but you'll see that real quick. So I'm going to attach this to the back of the sign with some hot glue. And now I'm not painting the sign, I'm not covering the back of the sign, and I'm not going to paint the stick or cover that either. We're going to disguise this after we put it into our project, and I'll show you exactly what I mean after I staple this down. So I put some staples in, I did a little world's tiniest adorable hammer, hammered that down, and now the sign is ready. It's showing you how sturdy it is, and I'm going to tuck it into a corner. So I'm finding placement. I want to see which way or which side is the best side of the basket to face me because of, you know, I wanted to. And then trying to, you know, get that Spanish moss out of the way, and then the same thing, make it go into its new home. And why wouldn't it listen to me? So I had to use a little bit of, you know, brute force, and then also just, I didn't want to pull it back out at that point. So you see me I added the glue as I was pushing it down. Now look at this black hydrangea. It's gorgeous, very elegant, very beautiful. So I am going to take the leaves off of it, and we're going to tuck that into the base, and we're going to use this to cover up our craft stick on the back. We're going to add some more stuff to this while we're playing along here, so keep your eye out. You're going to see me add some more things back here, mainly the other wreath or the other leaf to the hydrangea plant, and then maybe some lamb's ears and goodies. We're using the exact same flowers we used on the first one because I had them and it was cute and I wanted to do more. Now I'm going to cut the head off of the hydrangea bush here. Now I got these hydrangea from Amazon. I believe I got them in a pack of 6 or 8. Not absolutely sure, but you can check my Amazon shop. That is linked in the description and the pinned comment below for you to take a peek at that. Now, it is I earn a very small commission, but I earn a commission off of any purchases you made from my link. So every little bit helps. And if you're not able to donate in my coffee page or you purchase any of my DIYs, and of course, just being here is all that matters, really. It's the best thing you can do. You can take a peek at my coffee page, at least that. I mean, sorry, at my Amazon shop. Now, I realized quickly after I put the hydrangea in that it's big and it's going to cover the skeleton almost all the way. So I ended up kind of pushing it off to the side, tucking it under the back corner. So we had more of kind of like a cascading effect. And then I was only covering maybe the bottom left portion of the skull, which I was fine with. I didn't want it to be too, you know, 1980s country blue with white ducks cookie cutter. And I'm not making fun of that because I think every one of my friends, parents, and then my mom, everybody had that kitchen. They ever had that stuff in their kitchen. Tell me if you relate. I'm an 80s child, so basically I was in my teens in the 90s. So the country blue with white ducks was very popular. And I don't know why I don't know how that came up. I've already forgotten what I said it for. So anyways, there's my little bit of reminiscing. Now we're going to take these pieces. I'm using the same Amazon eucalyptus, the same Amazon it's not baby's breath, lamb's ear. Ooh, baby's breath, but it would have been in white. Now that baby's breath I get that you've seen me use in other videos, I got that from Amazon. It comes in many colors. So it would be cute here too because the small little buds. But I just took a piece of the leaf off of the lamb's ear from the side, taped that into the back, and now here I'm using the same Dollar Tree daisies. Again, we have the same flowers from the first project that we're adding in here. They give the greatest feel. Now, these daisies these are leftovers from Valentine's, guys. If you've been here and you remember, I made a Valentine's they're styrofoam hearts. I cut them in half and I layered them with these daisies. And these are the blue ones. But in this, you know, application here, they look like a very beautiful, you know, washed out grayish. I mean, they're pretty, almost like a slate blue. And now here I wanted to add some height, so I added one more full eucalyptus bush, and I'm just going to arrange it and kind of tuck it in on its own. And I love everything about this. So we're not doing ribbon, we're not doing anything else now. Here is that same little stem I told you about from the first project. I did add one in here because it does have an accent to it that looks like a long, see that right there? It's like a long flower. It's just a bunch of styrofoam balls that are added to it to make it look like the middle of a flower of something. I just like a budding berries. I don't know what it is, but it's this type of feel I love. So same thing as before. They are weak and they are not wired once you cut them off of the stem. So I had to get the pick machine out, add that scary prison shiv to the end of it, but it's so effective and so much fun. And then I just added that one accent. I didn't put more of that in there. And then the rest of this is just me fussing with it. I mean, I could fuss with all that stuff for hours. We'd be here a lot longer than the, what is this, 40-minute video, almost 40-minute, 37-minute video. Jeez, Whitney. Now here's this one done. What do you think? This one turned out really good. I didn't know that. Yeah, I love, and again, that metal hanger, the chain, I kind of like to hang it more to the left, but that works to our advantage. If you don't like it, just leave it hanging on the back, but I didn't want to change it. I think it looks pretty. It almost makes it look like a crown or something, like it's the princess. But I like it very much. I didn't have to do anything to that sign, so that sign came as is, super pretty, very detailed. And I like all these greens and, you know, the hydrangea, it adds that soft touch to it that I like. So, I mean, this would be totally farmhouse as soon as you take that skull out. Put some buffalo check in there. And I have gray farmhouse striped ribbon. That would look great in that. Tell me your thoughts. Now, our last project is, of course, I forgot to hit record, but I have this little picture frame here from Dollar Tree. This is in like their little shelf decor aisle, the little wall decor aisle with their picture frames. And I already removed the piece out of it, and I shoved all my pumpkins in it to make sure they'd fit. Now, this is a little decor pumpkin little pack that I got a few years back, and I've used them off and on. So I've like, okay, I got 9 of them. I shoved them all in there into their new home. They made it, and they fit very well. And so now what we're going to do is remove all the tags, and we're going to paint everything. So I'm pulling the tag off. And this one came off pretty easy. I don't believe I got the heat gun. Yeah, no, I didn't get the heat gun out. For some reason, it cooperated with me. We'll see what comes next. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to paint the punkies. So these are little stems I've saved off of other floral bushes that have been, you know, cut apart. And basically I'm going to pull the stem off of the pumpkin, and I'm going to put our pumpkin on a old floral stem, every single one of them, because we're going to paint them, and then we're going to use this to stick into that piece of styrofoam that I put up there at the top of the work table there. So I'm just going to keep adding them. I was looking at them to see if I should use the top or bottom of the side. You know, when you just stick with the original, take the stems out, poke the stem, the other stick through the bottom, and just start painting till your heart is content, or basically painting until they're all black. Now this, again, just a average black chalk paint, nothing special. And I cover everything except the bottom. We don't need to because we're going to glue them down like you saw originally. And from here, I just did basically all 9. So just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my little editing job. I'm so proud of this. Like, it's so cute. I made the cuts. It's like magic. Now, moving on to the stems, I have this extra chunk of styrofoam. This is from a Dollar Tree wreath I'd cut apart. And I was like, hey, these fit in here perfectly. So I stuck all the stems in there and just painted them with another weird color of chalk paint. This is very, you know, dreary. Like, it looks like beige, but beige that lost its spunk, if that's even possible. I was like, could you get any boring? It's beige. So many colors of beige. But it's really good as far as like that washed out cement, old stone look. I had no vibrant colors whatsoever. As badly as I love them and as I wanted to throw some pink in here, you couldn't do it. Or even some orange or red. Red would be more vampire-y. I'm not sure. These are the crafty idea neurons firing randomly when I should be talking about what I'm doing. Now, this paint went on very easy. I only had to do 1 coat. I did all the outsides fairly easy. I did not do the back because I didn't have to. And so here I'm just doing the inside edges and the top edge of the actual frame. And then I'm only going on a little bit of the inside. It doesn't matter because we're going to hide this all after we put the punkies in. So here's our finished girl. She's all dried up, and we have a nice little beige colored frame. And now here are all of our little punkies. They're black, and boom. That was also one of my first, look what I did. I made a transition. I feel embarrassed by that. I'm like, how old are you? And this is, anyway, so I waited till everything was dry. We're dry, we're good to go. We're going to, again, coerce these pumpkins because it's a good fit on a couple of them, but they all fit and all 9 of them fit together. So I got my 3 rows of punkies, and then this is what we're working with so far. So we're looking good. Now, don't get discouraged because we're going to see that. Now, again, this is only the leftover wax that was in that DIY dark wax that we used on our first project. I have not added anything else to this brush. So just remember, this is for very light distressing. You don't need very much of that wax for anything. So if you see someone loading it up, then they really want a very dark wax and they're probably wanting to leave it on as a sealer. I was using this as an accent, and look at how perfect weathering it puts on the corners of things. Take a look at that wax because it is smooth and it is very nice to work with, and you use so little of it. Now then I also decided to use the same distressing technique with that same dark wax on the stems of our pumpkins. And remember, we painted this the same color as the frame, so we've got a little bit of matchy-matchy going on. And what happens mostly with those little pumpkin packs, if you notice that they kind of are a little lopsided, like they're just a little special and we love them for it. So I'm taking a stylus and I'm making new holes where I'm going to put the stems so that they're in the actual middle of a pumpkin where they belong and not like where your left ear should be. So I'm taking all of our little distressed and painted stems and I'm gluing them back in individually, and I'll let you take a peek at that when we're done. And this was also very easy. Again, there wasn't much foot traffic where we were, and excuse me, sorry guys, this is super late for me. Super late. I just want to get this done. I get so excited when I finish my projects. I'm like, okay, I got to edit. I get this edit. I get it all done in one day and I can get it out for them. And then I can sit back and watch with happy little eyes at everybody's comments and saying hi. It's so much fun to read those the next day. It's so much fun. So keep commenting. Just say hi, by the way. You don't have to say much. Just say hi. It's all that's good. And also it helps my channel no matter what. Even the negative comments help people. So I think people honestly think they're being rude or mean to someone, that it's really going to hurt them, and it doesn't. Your negative comments actually helps their channel out because YouTube thinks that it's getting interaction. That means people like it. So who cares? So it really doesn't really bother that much as they might think it is. So, okay, stepping off my soapbox, back to our project, back to the craft room. Now, I'm taking Spanish moss and I'm going to tuck it into all of our little openings, all of our nooks and crannies. So I'm taking a little bit and then I ball it up into my hand. I use both of my palms together, kind of rub them together to get like little circular moss balls. And then I'm taking some stylus tools and just literally a piece of wire from a stem, and I'm using it to be able to tuck those down into all of our openings. Fill them all up. We want this to be over the top. Now here I'm dusting it with a chippy brush because I got a lot of little white speckly dust pieces on the black punkies. And yeah, I know it's full and it's messy with the Spanish moss, but I didn't want the dusties on there. Now these guys I got last year, and I didn't get to use them very much. I only used them in one project, but these are little skull beads I got off of Amazon. Super cute. And so basically I took them apart and didn't know exactly what I was going to do yet. Thought maybe I'd have to put them back on toothpicks to kind of tuck them in there. But look how cute it is when you just kind of push it down into the Spanish moss. I was like, this is your new home and you're going in there so nicely. Oh, such a good boy. Check it out. I did go a little ham once I found out how much I liked it. So just take a peek. Just glued it down into the Spanish moss. It's not going anywhere. That moss is not coming out, and those pumpkins are not coming out without some sort of coercion or ransom money or something. None of this is coming out of this box. It's like we got a good, nice little fit in there because I was pushing those pumpkins down in good, and they're styrofoam, so there's a lot of tension. Now, I was just testing out the waters with a couple of the loose beads, and then I was like, yes, I love this. So then I just kind of, well, you can watch here. I went ham. Did it want one skull, two skull, three skulls, more skulls? Yeah, that's what we ended up doing. Because I'm like, well, if I fill up every single hole, that might be overboard, right? Nah. Some people might like it. Some people might not. I just did what made me happy. And again, for someone who doesn't decorate for Halloween or just in general, this is still something you could mix into an eclectic type of, what do they call that? It's just a hodgepodge of all kinds of things that make you happy. So like my craft room has it. I have Halloween projects up year round. I don't pack them away. I love them because I made them and they make me happy. So I leave them out. But again, my house, I don't decorate for Halloween. I bring the punkies out and that's where my heart lies. But I have many friends who are spooky and love the spooky things. So I thought I would be done after I tucked in all those skulls. I did group 4 of them together in one spot, but I like how it looks kind of like a little skull graveyard. And now here I just grabbed some grosgrain ribbon from my stash and I'm just going to tie your finger bow. Now I have a finger bow tutorial that is separate from anything else. I use finger bows in almost every one of my videos, so I made a separate video for you to watch. It's about 5 minutes long. Slows things down. You can stop and take a look and pause it and kind of go back and forth slowly. Might show you a better a better angle on this so that we don't have to spend too much time on this video or any of the other ones on how to tie a finger bow. It takes practice, guys. And I can tell you from editing and cutting it out, I tied this thing twice and I just didn't feel like adding it into the video. The video is already going to be close to 40 minutes. So I tied it a few times, but I still practice. I have ribbon in my purse. I practice when I'm standing in lines and places or, you know, getting my hair done or at the doctor's offices because those are normal things. And I just practice the finger bows. It becomes, you know, second nature, muscle memory. So after making her, I will, obviously you saw me glue that down. Now I'm cutting the tails super short. I just like the way they look on those finger bows. It's a one loop, single loop finger bow, and cutting them at opposite diagonals. So they've got the little pointy parts on the outside, super cute. And then I basically then glued the rest of the you know, the sides of the bow itself down to the pumpkins. And it gets lost in there, but I wanted it that way. That was my purpose. There was a little bit of monochromatic idea that came to me. I was like, you know what, let me just throw this bow in right here. Because it's different. It's not just Spanish moss and skulls. I needed to have the bow, so I stuck it in there. And that's where she landed, and that's her new home. And I like it. You don't like it? Don't put a bow in it. Or go get your heat gun and you can remove the bow. Should you want to purchase this item for me, I will place it in my coffee shop. So that's it for today. Look at the 3 projects together. Tell me what your thoughts are. Again, I'm not a Halloween person, but every time I make these things, they turn out so beautiful that, I mean, I feel like I'm like, you know, patting myself on the back here and tooting my own horn, but I love the florals on this. I think you can definitely tell that I've gotten a hold of something because it's not traditional Halloween florals, but you can pretty much add anything to any project, guys. This is where I tell you, take your ideas and your passion, grab a theme, grab a color palette, and apply it, because basically we can do anything. We can switch out those skulls for small little acorns for fall, you know, that thing. So in any event, I have a coffee page. If you like what I've done or you've learned something from me and you feel like you'd like to support, you can drop a donation here. Always appreciated, never required, and every little bit helps. And also I sell my DIYs there, so take a peek. That is in the description below. Now, that's all that is for today. So thank you so much for being with me. I love you more than I can possibly say in words. Many hugs, happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. And it's going to be a fall one, lots of punkies. Bye-bye for now.